Yo, what's up, guys? Roll MMA here. I'm going to be talking about my picks for the UFC 327 card in Miami, Yuri versus Olberg. I'm only really going to be going into depth on the main card in this video, but I will just run through the prelims really quick because it's a super stacked card. So yeah, like I said, this card is super stacked, even in the prelims. Honestly, maybe the best prelims of the year, at least potential for that. In this first one, I got Francisco Prado. I think he's just a good up-and-coming prospect. He's only 23, 24 years old. And, yeah, I think he's going to win. Give that one to me in decision. Kevin Gastelum versus Vicente Luque. I don't think Vicente Luque is going to be able to knock Kevin Gastelum out. And that's kind of what he's going to have to do. It's kind of going to be blob versus blob here, I think. Give me Kevin Gastelum by decision. And then give me Chris Padilla versus Medeiros. I say give me Chris Padilla. I actually think Chris Padilla, something's just telling me first round knockout from Chris Padilla. So then we move on to this Tatiana Suarez versus Godinez fight. Honestly, seeing Tatiana Suarez this far back on the prelims as the number 2 contender in strawweight is kind of crazy. I think she's going to win this fight. I honestly don't think Godinez stands a chance. Give me Suarez, second round. Yeah. Gamrot versus Esteban Ribovic. So, Mateusz Gamrot, I think, is one of the most underrated fighters in lightweight, one of the most underrated fighters in the UFC. I mean, if you look back on his record, you might think that he's been losing a lot, but you have to really look at the names that he's losing to. I mean, it's Charles Oliveira, it's Beneil Dariush, and it's Dan Hooker. And that kind of distracts you from the fact that he's actually beaten some pretty good names recently. I mean, he beat Rafael Fiziev, he beat Arman. That being said, that was kind of an arguable decision. But yeah, I said I was going to go through these kind of quick. I've been taking a little while on this one. But yeah, I got Mateusz Gamrot. I think he's coming into this underrated. I think his hype train's going to go up after this one. But I do think he's going to win by decision. This next fight, Kevin Holland versus Randy Brown. This is going to be a sick fight, I think. I think this is going to be a brawl. Probably a fight of the night contender for sure. I think Kevin Holland is going to win. I got Kevin Holland by second round submission, I'd say, if he finishes it. If he doesn't finish it somewhat early, I think it kind of becomes a slugfest. And Randy Brown versus Kevin Holland slugfest, I mean, who wouldn't be looking forward to that? But yeah, give me Kevin Holland either way. And then the final fight on the prelims, we got old man Patricio Pitbull versus Aaron Pico. Two Bellator guys that never fought each other in Bellator and just waited till they came to the UFC to do it, I guess. Aaron Pico's kind of been picking up a lot of hype. I really don't see it. I mean, sure, he's a good fighter, but he's never going to be a title contender in my opinion. That being said, neither is Patricio Pitbull. I do think this will be a somewhat entertaining fight. I am going to go with Patricio Pitbull. I think it's going to be by decision, and I think people are definitely underrating him coming into this one. And starting off the main card, we have another really entertaining fight, Cub Swanson versus Nate Landwehr. I think this one can also become a slugfest too. And although this is kind of Unk versus Unk, I think Cub's 42 and I think Nate Landwehr's 30, high 30s. I still think these guys are going to go at it. And I kind of think it's going to be a surprise knockout. You know, like DC's going to be saying something, chewing on some food, and then out of nowhere, Cub Swanson just colds Nate Landwehr. So yeah, I think maybe third round, I think Cub Swanson comes in with that straight right that he always manages to throw every fight and just, yeah, sends Nate Landwehr to the shadow realm. And then we got Johnny Walker versus Dominic Reyes. Speaking of slugfest, this is like the slugfest to end all slugfest. It's going to be first round knockout. Almost everybody's agreeing upon that. But the question is, who gets flatlined? I actually think that Johnny Walker is going to win this one. I think that he sleeps Dominic Reyes by a brutal flying out. No, I'm just kidding. But I do think Johnny Walker's going to win. I think it'll be a first-round KO. And, I mean, when you're fighting Johnny Walker, it's either you KO him brutally or you get brutally KO'd. So it's kind of 50-50 going into it. I could see it going either way. My gut just tells me Johnny Walker. But if Dominic Reyes wins this, I would love to see him go on a little run. I think maybe a good next fight for him would be, honestly, the winner of the Curtis Blades Josh Hokett fight on this card. That could be pretty entertaining. Actually, yeah, let's talk about that fight. I think we all watched that press conference. I think we all watched all of Josh Hokett's interviews before this. The Incredible Hulk came out to play this time. I don't know. Some people are calling it cringy. I think it's pretty entertaining. It was definitely the funniest press conference I've seen in a while. Him and Paulo Costa just constantly saying something. And, I don't think the Chael Sonnen-y bit is that cringy. I think it's just, really funny because he's in on the joke. He's not being serious, obviously. But, yeah, I can see how some people are annoyed by it. I do, however, think that he's going to lose this fight. He's 8-0 right now, right? He's on a run, but he's an unranked contender. The last guy he beat was Denzel Freeman, and they move him up to fight Curtis Blades. I get that you guys want to build hype around this guy. I don't think Curtis Blades is the opponent to do it against, right? Curtis Blades, I think, is just going to out-wrestle him, right? And these guys are both wrestlers. I think Curtis Blades is going to out-wrestle him, and I think he's going to outstrike him, and I really think he kind of destroys Josh Hokett. 30-27, that's my prediction. I do think it's going to be by decision, and I wonder what they have in store for Josh Hokett if he loses this fight. It actually kind of sets him up in a perfect position to fight Steven Asplund, which would be a really entertaining fight. I think Hokett actually wins that one. But, yeah, I think this one goes to Curtis, and I think it goes to decision. Then for the co-main event, I am disappointed that we don't get to see Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taira on this. I'll give you guys my opinions on that one when 328 comes around. But this co-main event's not bad either. You got Azamat Murzakanov. He's 16-0, and honestly, he's kind of a KO artist. People don't really recognize him as that, but I believe 5 out of his 6 fights or something like that in the UFC have been KOs. He has 1 decision win in the UFC. And he's coming in against Paulo Costa, who also is underrated coming into this. He just came off a win, albeit against Roman Kopylov. But his 2 losses before that were to Sean Strickland and Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whittaker, both by decision. I don't think he really gets the credit he deserves to kind of keep a fight going. He's not really going to get knocked out, I don't think, in this one. He's going to kind of test Azamat's ability to knock someone out. I do think that Murzakanov will win. That'll be probably either in a late knockout, if he can manage to find Paulo Costa's chin, or it's going to be by decision. And I think if he wins by decision, people are going to call this fight boring. I think they're going to start saying that Azamat's a boring fighter. And, yeah, something just tells me that he's going to keep being underrated after this fight, even though he's going to win. I think a good fight for Azamat after this win, a really entertaining fight actually, could be against Khalil Roundtree. I'd love to see those 2 fight. But, yeah. Okay, on to the main event. I was going to say the moment we've all been waiting for, but that's just not true. I'm actually pretty excited for this fight. You got Yuri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg for the interim title after Alex Pereira moved up to heavyweight. I got Yuri in this one, and let me tell you why. I think Carlos Ulberg is going to come off strong. I think Carlos is actually going to win the first 2 rounds, and it's gonna look like he's got it in the bag. Then I think what's going to happen is Yuri's going to simply outlast him. He's going to out-survive him. I think those weird Yuri strikes start coming in round 3 and 4, and I actually think Yuri's going to get him out of there in round 4. I could see it going to decision and Yuri winning by just kind of drowning him in those later rounds. I could also see it being an early knockout for Yuri. But I think the best way to look at it is that Yuri's going to finish him in either round 4 or 5. I'm going to go with round 4. Why I say that is because Oberg hasn't been tested against a guy like Yuri per se. And with Yuri, I mean, the dude's got a baby coming 2 days after the fight. He's kind of got a lot on the line. He's got to prove himself that he's a serious force to be reckoned with in this weight class. His only losses really are to Alex Pereira 2 times. I don't like what he said in the press conference about moving up to heavyweight, or in his interview about moving up to heavyweight. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you move up to fight a guy that has already beat you 2 times unless his plan isn't to fight Alex Pereira for some reason? I mean, that's likely going to be the champion, though. So, yeah, I don't think that's the right move for him. I think he needs to win this fight against Carlos Ulberg, kind of just stand his ground, you know? He could fight Ankalaev. He could fight... I mean, eventually he's going to fight probably Murzakanov, right? So, yeah, I think this is actually going to be a more entertaining fight than people are making it out to be. I think Yuri just kind of has that ability, and Carlos Ulberg does too. Carlos Ulberg's fights aren't exactly boring. Sure, he's a little technical, but it doesn't make sense. Like, all the booing at the press conference really didn't make sense to me. Is it just because Yuri's more of a star? Like, Carlos Ulberg's a fun personality. He's a great fighter. He's on an 8-fight win streak. Yeah. But, yeah, with that being said, I do have Yuri in this one. I'm going to go with round 4 knockout as my official prediction. And, yeah. See you guys in the next one.